All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Appreciate that. Let's get going with the 10 IUL, top 10 IUL facts every life agent must know. And what I'm going to start is with, as always, with first things first. Now we do have a big event coming up on the 18th of August. It's a Saturday. Michael Harding is flying out from Atlanta to be able to get ourselves going, like I was mentioning to you earlier, in shape for the fall. You got to make it a productive one. We have to make it a very profitable one. That's going to position us for elevate our cash flow positions for all of our agents as high as we possibly can in the short amount of time as we possibly can before the Christmas break hits, Thanksgiving break hits, and so on. So let's go ahead and make sure we do that. Now, before I go on, I just want to let you know that the event is sold out. So please do not show up to the event unless you successfully registered and you have a ticket. We have someone checking tickets downstairs in the lobby area, and then we have somebody else collecting the tickets on the second level. So that way, in case somebody shows up hoping that a seat would open up, but let me tell you, no seats are going to open up. Just simply, you're too slow. You want to make sure that you stay in the know with everything that we do. And having said that, I want to remind everybody that we do have our own team app that we always give priority to. So if you have a smartphone, whether it be Apple or an Android based one, you got to follow the following instructions once the call is over. You're going to start by going to a website, myffsapp.com, myffsapp.com, from your phone, not your computer, your phone, and it's going to take you to what you see here on the screen. It's going to ask you to download it. It'll detect automatically whether you have an iPhone or a Droid, so don't worry about that. Just simply click on the download and install. It'll look like this, and then the little wheel will start to turn as it downloads it. Once it does that, it's going to ask you to specifically hit the little up, with the box with the up arrow, as you can see there, and then you hit the plus to get it onto your home screen, and bam, just like you see on my phone, it looks just like the one that you see in there. We give priority to communication to everyone that's part of this app first, and then we emailed the team. We warned everybody, our key leaders on Friday, to get their people on board for the registration over the weekend. Some did, some did not. And then once we announced it formally on Monday through the app first and then through email, in around 8 hours it sold out. So it's going to be a mega event. We have a lot of not just training, but we also have lunch being served. Michael Harding's going to go over some of the new product options that they have now. Just a lot of good information. So if you missed out, you missed out. Don't show up unless you're successfully registered, like I said. It will enable you, ask you to enable notifications. Make sure you click on the little plus sign, put in your phone number, your name, and then immediately it texts you an activation code or verification code. Put it in there, click on the verify, and you're done. Once you hit the done, it's on your phone. Just make sure it's on, and that's it. You'll be the first to notify of the many, many events that we have coming up because we are going again into the most productive part of the year, and communication is essential, period. We're going to get right down into the 10 things that I wanted to share with you. And first and foremost is the following. Fact one is that the IUL is a permanent product. And I know it's a duh type of thing, but understand that a lot of people don't understand how powerful that is. And especially when you consider how many employer based policies are out there in place. It's so sad to see people retire and not realize that they no longer have the life insurance from their employer because they are retired or they quit or whatever reason they leave their job or their job leaves them, and what they had with their employer disappears. I know I had a lot of insurance when I was with the police officer with the LAPD, and when I went ahead and retired from the police department, guess what? Everything stayed behind as far as coverage was concerned for insurance. And not only that, but the second part about this is that when people lose their coverage because of their employer or because it's a term policy, I was just looking at how fast time flies. I have multiple term policies in my own life, and then I've got multiple IULs as well. And one of the things that my wife and I were just discussing was that one of our policies, because we got one of them at the same time, meaning her and my policy, they're about to expire. It's been 20 years, and if I don't hurry up and die, I'm going to lose my money. And so, well, maybe she hurries up and dies, but I don't want to hurry up and die. But the point of it is that rocket, if you would, that was propelling us forward with peace of mind, kind of falls back. And the flip side to that, of course, is that thank God the IULs are there because at some point the IULs are going to take over that. What I'm saying is that you have to make sure that when you're talking to teachers, when you're talking to police officers, when you're talking to anybody, you have to emphasize the fact that what currently gives them peace of mind, which is their employer-based insurance, will not go with them. It's not permanent. It will stay behind. And so that's why it's also very important. And I'm not going to get into because one of our leaders is going to cover this doing our training on that Saturday that I mentioned with Michael Harding. And that is that even in the CalSTRS manual, it clearly tells people that they should go ahead and get some kind of permanent life insurance policy to make up any shortage so that way they can have their full pension versus taking less of a pension when they're alive and then leaving part of that pension to their spouses. It's better to just get a permanent life insurance policy. That way they get all the money up front, and then when that person eventually, passes away, they leave an entire death benefit behind. And so if you understand those things, like I said today, a bunch of companies were, of course, at the police symposium with the school police, but they don't know the stuff that we know. They don't know how to explain it. They don't know how to articulate it, and that's what you have to be very clear when you communicate with the prospect. Because if you do a good job there, there's no reason, absolutely no reason, they would not go with you instead. So understand that it is a permanent product, but it might as well be term unless you know how to articulate the benefits of a permanent product. Fact number two is that the IUL provides living benefits. And once again, we're talking into value. Now, I'm not going to get into it, but I know George Munoz sent me an email, and I probably got 4 or 5 different emails from different people in different industries this week about how the slowdown is coming. I put in my Facebook. I don't know if we're friends or what have you, but I just put an update about how Marcella and I were having lunch, and we were strategizing how to position ourselves and our teams better for the upcoming economic slowdown. And man, I cannot tell you how many people called me and texted me, "What economic slowdown? What are you talking about?" Well, the writing is on the wall. It's on the wall if you know how to read, and so therefore it is coming. So living benefits means that people get more value. Instead of a one-trick pony, they're getting literally a 4-trick pony for something they were already putting more than likely into something else, like a deferred comp or a 403B or just a straight TSA. And so, in a nutshell, what this simply means, if nothing else, is that the IUL we market is a life insurance that you don't have to die to use. Very simple. Because what I always tell people is this: if I'm talking to a teacher, if I'm talking to a police officer, oh, I see. Okay, so I get it. You get the term insurance, which is good. But just so you know, that's really not life insurance, by the way. That's death insurance. Call it what it is so you don't confuse the two. The one that we believe in, that we market, and that a lot of the people here have, it's a type that you do not have to die to use. I mean, if you're dead, that's one thing. If you're healthy, that's another. But what if you're right in between? That's a very tough position for most families to be in. And again, with us, you have full protection. And then, of course, we give you the living benefits. And the best way to describe the living benefits is that we give them to you as long as you qualify for them at no additional cost. Sometimes people call that at no cost. Well, there is a cost built into the product, of course. So the best part is that we can give you that. I was at a police station about 4 years ago in December. I'll never forget it. And I was waiting to go up there to speak to the roll call. And when I was getting ready to speak, they told me to go stand by the podium or whatever you want to call it, right at the front. And when I got there, there was a flyer from State Farm. And a State Farm agent had been there not too long ago, and they were selling the living benefits themselves at $39 a pop. And so, what a great piece I just held up. And I go, look, what they are offering you here is really good, by the way. But here's the kick. We offer you the exact same thing at no additional cost whatsoever. And take the money you would have paid for those and just apply it towards your regular premium, and you'll be good to go. So it's the life insurance you do not have to die to use. And so again, this is something that when you bring it up to people, and they try to tell you that they have a term insurance, but they're happy with their the one that the police department or the one that the school district or their employer provides, say no, but you have there for the record is death insurance. You have to die. Because let me tell you something, if you're almost dead, they will almost write your family a check. You have to go, buddy. You got to go in order for them to pay out. With our product, that's not the case. Fact number 3 is that the IUL offers flexibility. And again, as we go into this economic slowdown that I'm telling you is coming, it's very important for people to know that, because they will be very afraid to commit to 100, 300, 500 a month type of premium when they don't know if they're going to be getting their overtime, if they're going to be laid off, or whatever the case might be. And with this one, it's nice to know that you could reduce your contribution to your premium, if you would, to just the minimum for a month, 6 months, a year, until everything blows over. Or in some cases, once they're fully funded, they can switch to no more premium payments whatsoever, which I'll cover here in just a little while. Now, fact number 4 is that the IUL addresses multiple concerns. And again, value is what matters. And any economy, especially one that's declining. When times are good, people love deals, and when times are bad, people have to get a deal. And so when you properly structure and fund an IUL, it can address literally the life insurance needs. If nothing else, use yours as an example. I use mine as an example all the time. That I have my life insurance in case something happens to me. Bam, my wife is taking, my wife and kids and my granddaughter are taken care of. We have the living benefits. In case I become disabled with one of the covered issues that might arise, we're protected. We can use it to fund college and even retirement. And so when you're asking people for 100, 200, 500, I know Carla Thompson just submitted what was it, $1,000 a month IUL. I mean, when you're asking people for that kind of money, any kind of money, they need to see the value in it. Otherwise, they're not going to keep it. And if they don't keep it, especially for at least 1 year, that's where the chargebacks come in and all the headaches that go with it as well. So you have to know how to explain value to people as well. Fact number 5 is that the IUL can be very, very tax efficient. Going back to Carla, she was speaking to, I don't know, she sent me a picture of like 25 business owners. She has one that, I forget how much she funded. She was doing something like, I think, $5,000 or $10,000 a month into her IUL because she was doing it not just for the quote retirement, but because of the tax efficiency. There's a lot of people out there that cannot stash money into tax deferred, tax free type of accounts fast enough. And so when you come in and you show them that the money they put in, 500, 1,000, 100, or in this example, 10,000 a month, the thing is worth millions. So if something was to die, their bank account is only going to give their loved ones whatever was in the bank account. Whereas with this one, if they gave just one premium payment of $100, it could turn into 500,000 or whatever the case might be. But it is very, very tax efficient because it allows people to transfer money tax-free to another generation as well. The IUL can generate income, and this is very important because now we're getting into the nuts and bolts of the school campaign primarily, where teachers have their TSAs, 403Bs going, and they suspect that it might not be the best thing for them because the teachers that are going before them, retiring, are telling them that they're running out of money. Or you have Mr. Jones, who retired 4 years ago, all of a sudden starts to pop up as a substitute teacher. Now, if he's bored at home and can't stand Hawaii anymore, that's one thing. But if he's short some funds, he'll let people know. So people know something is up. They know that pensions are a portion of what they were making. And when most people cannot even survive on their full paycheck, let alone a portion of it, they are going to look for options. And that's where you can come in as well to provide them. And this is the key thing, a steady. That's what people want to know that they're going to get. A steady stream. I can tell someone today that, look, listen, if you start right now with the same $300 that you're putting into your 403B, just so you know, that one will run out probably in around 6 years based on what you're telling me you need to get every single year to supplement your pension. Whereas with an IUL, it's a little different. We can tell you right now that you would get this amount for the rest of your life. So would you rather have when you retire income above your pension for a few short years, or would you rather have it for the rest of your life? And would you rather have taxable income, or would you rather have tax-free income at that point as well? And fact number 7 is the back-end loads or surrender charges phase out over time. And that's pretty cool because most of the vehicles out there, including mutual funds and some of the EFT, so many other options that are out there, the loads, and for you those that don't know, the loads are the fees that are involved with this right here. The back-end loads are the surrender charges that they phase out over a 10-year period. So if I start an IUL today and I put in $1,000 this year, and then next year I try to take out my 1,000, I'm not going to get 1,000. I'm probably not going to get anything. But it also serves as a measure to make sure people understand this is a long-term goal. This is a long-term product. And so I have never, ever lost a sale because surrender charges, and those that have been to my webinars know that I love surrender charges. I lead the sale with surrender charges because let's get this whole thing out of the way. When you have the most money, when you have the most income, when you have the biggest contributions going in, and by the time you prepare to retire, there will be no surrender charges. If you're tired of being financially secured, if you get sick and tired of that peace of mind, take your money out and run with it. The only catch is that you'll have double of what you put in depending on when you do that. After year number 10, there are 0 surrender charges. There are other charges still involved beyond that point, but the bulk and the biggest ones, we're talking about 10,000, 12,000. I know on mine, I have on one of my policies, I still have $8,000 left, even though I have a lot of cash value, a lot of cash value. But that still stings. But I know that it's going down every single year because I'm seeing it when I do my annual review on myself, and I look at where I stood, where I stood a year ago, and so on. So the back end loads or surrender charges phase it out. And the reason I lead with this, by the way, is that if you just paint it all peach and rosy for people, they're going to say, man, it sounds too good to be true, so it must be too good to be true. And they're not going to stick with the product, and they're not going to stick with the program. People are looking for the drawbacks, the pros and the cons. And if you want to call it a con, call it a con. But I think it's a great con because it reduces itself it phases out over 10 years, which allows them to, again, have that much more money accessible to them. Fact number 8, the IUL is the ultimate legacy builder. And this is beautiful because our priorities change as we get older. You know, the reason that I'm telling you some of my IULs some of my term policies are expiring because they were all 20-year terms because initially it was just to protect our children when they were getting older. Now my youngest is going on 20 now, which is, there it is, from when she was born is when I had the biggest ones. And now the good news is that guess what? Right when they are running out, the 20 years have gone by like you wouldn't believe. Along comes my granddaughter, and I want to make sure that now, when I kick the bucket, it's not going to be that a financial drain for my kids, if you will. So there's still plenty of money for them, but I can start to divvy it up a little bit more and say, look, I want $1 million to go to my kids, and now I'm going to leave this much, another $1 million for my wife, or I can just simply say, I'm done with the kids. I want it all to go to my wife, and I want some for the church, and I still want to leave a little bit for my granddaughter to fund that college fund, and so on and so on and so on. There's a lot of things, and you have to be careful because when you're talking to somebody that's got grandkids type of thing, they're of a different mindset than young parents, or God forbid, parents that have teenage kids. And so you want to make sure you understand those as well. Fact number 9 is that there's no contribution limit. I'm talking about the Roth products. They have limits. I'm talking about the 401ks. They have limits. And the truth is that if you make more than X amount of money, you cannot even have a Roth IRA. And that's the reality. And that leaves the people, again, Carla is the person I can think of the best that runs with those types of people that, they are looking for a place to stash $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month. And they're not putting everything they own up, by the way, or all their income. There's a lot of people out there that have a ton of money. And for you tell them, look, listen, I'm going to start you a $5,000 a month IUL. Immediately, you're going to have a $3 million death benefit. Not just in case you die, your 5,000 turns into 3 million, but also in case of a critical terminal or chronic illness, you're going to be able to access that money as well without having to touch the rest of your money. And now you're getting their attention because again, people are seeing people wheel into, retirement homes, assisted living homes, all kinds of stuff out there. And if they can somehow leverage their money to have more to last them longer or leave more behind, ask Carla. She makes a lot of money with us, and she does it in a very smart way. She only writes a few policies a year, but my good God, there are massive policies. And she just spoke, like I said, to a group of like 25 of those types of business owners that have those same problems. And so don't be afraid to let people know that there's no contribution limit when it comes to this as well, as long as they qualify. And then the last one I want to talk to you about today, which is, again, important because we are going into this, economic slowdown, is that you have to leverage the power of the fact that the IUL is an index-based product. It's index, meaning when the market goes up, the cash value goes up. But when the market goes down, it stays put. It's not making money during that time frame, but most importantly, it's not losing any money. And that's the essence of the message we bring to people, because that in turn turns into what's called peace of mind. And this is something that's so true because right now everyone is watching the stock market and people suspect it. Others like me know it. That again, it's not the end of the world, but my good God, what goes up must come down. All-time highs have always been followed by all-time lows. And when I'm talking to people, I'm not scaring them. I'm not using scare tactics. We're just simply talking about, it is part of my presentation. I'm in front of teachers, police officers, truck drivers, and I'm telling them, as you guys know, when, market goes up, you go up, market goes down, you usually go down. With our product, you go up, but you never go down. Because let me tell you something, the market has been doing incredibly well. But let me tell you a secret. In the stock market, all-time highs have always been followed by what? And then they all answer, all-time lows. Exactly. So I'm not telling you to stop doing that, but maybe at least consider diversifying. Or maybe if you do want to redirect all your money, it's your decision. The point of it is that you'll know that when the market goes up, you will go up until the cap. And when the market goes down, you level off. You're not making any money, but you're not losing. And they always end that sentence for me. Now, you're not going to be making any money, but most importantly, you're not going to be what? Losing. Exactly. It's like a ratchet. It only goes one way, it doesn't go the other. It's the peace of mind knowing that whatever life throws at you, whatever it might be in the medical sense, in a financial sense, with your career, with your business, with your job, you will have something to protect you. Because it's not a matter of if life will happen to you, I can promise you that, but when will it happen again? Because I'm sure every single one of you in here has had life happen to you at some point or another in your life. Here you'll have the peace of mind knowing that you and your loved ones are taken care of regardless of what life throws your way. All right? I'm going to go ahead and take questions, but before I do that, I want to end the recording because I'm going to send it out. And I just want to say thank you for being on the webinar. Please hang tight while I unmute everyone. So please, hang tight.